So in today's episode, I'm very excited to welcome Jason Friedman. He has an extensive knowledge and experience in startups and in product design, building things. So we have so much things to share in this episode. It's going to be great. Jason, I'm very, very happy to be with you today. Welcome on the show. Can you just introduce yourself? I know that you have so many experiences. Let's get started. Tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, Emery, thanks for having me on the show. Super excited to be here. As you said, I'm Jason Friedman. I am a serial entrepreneur. I've started and exited many companies. I've bought and sold some businesses, but I'm an entrepreneur through and through. And my background, I started out many years ago in theater. So I was actually a lighting designer for rock and roll shows and theatrical shows. I traveled with Rush, with Peter Gabriel, with Fleetwood Mac, and a few others. And then I traveled with some more legitimate theater shows. And it's like Fiddler on the Roof, Jesus Christ Superstar, Man of La Mancha. And Emery, it's one of those experiences, if you've ever seen The Karate Kid, where Mr. Miyagi teaches Daniel how to wax on, wax off, and then all of a sudden he's learning this amazing skill, but doesn't realize he's learning it. And that was my journey. I learned this amazing skill about how to actually tell a story, how to engage an audience using everything: sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, every one of the senses engaged in theater, because that's how we do it. We take an audience who's got a lot going on in their lives, they come in, they sit down, and we transform their life. We take them on a journey, and at the end, we have them leaving transformed with their hearts open, giving a standing ovation, applause, and that's been the secret sauce to my success, and I'm excited to share some stuff with you guys today.
That's cool. Thank you very much. So, our audience, they are most of the time first-time entrepreneurs. Can you tell us a bit more about your first venture, the first time that you built your very first company? It was very hard to me to do mine, so I would love to know your story.
And so like I said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. My first entrepreneurial business started when I was 8 years old, no joke. And I live in the Northeast in the US, in New Jersey, and we get a lot of snow. And so I started shoveling snow for money, right? And so what I did was I went door to door, I'd knock on the door, and I'd ask them if they wanted their driveway shoveled and their walks and what have you. And I started out doing it for like $10, then 15, then 20. And what I realized is that the amount of time it took me to shovel the driveway, it would get dark before I could do enough driveways to make a lot of money, right? And so I realized I needed to scale this somehow. I needed more help. I needed a team. I needed employees. So I went out to all my friends and I enlisted them to become snow shovelers for me. And so we would go in as 3 or 4 of us, and we would get the jobs done a lot faster. And so we could go to the next job, the next job, the next job. What I realized is that we would get it done, and we'd have to knock on a bunch of houses till we find the next. So there's 4 of us that were walking around, not getting anything done. So I changed it up, and it would be the 4 of us would go to the first one, and then as they were shoveling, I'd go and find the next job. And then I'd come back to them and I'd say, okay, here's the next house. And so I was going and selling and collecting the money, and they were doing the work. And all of a sudden I had built a little business with a lot of employees. And that was when I was, before I was 10. And from there, it went on. My next business was in college, and I started a business in my dorm room, and it was building freestanding lofts because the rooms were really narrow and really high ceilings. And so we were able to build lofts that would take your bed up on this freestanding structure, and you could put couches underneath and have more space. And from there, I just kept going. I just kept starting more businesses. And every single one of those businesses, Emery, was about, how do I solve a problem, right? The first one was they have snow on their driveway and they can't drive on it. And so I could solve that. The second one is they had these little rooms and they wanted more space. And I had a way to solve that. And every single one of my companies has always been about, how do I solve a problem? I built software, I've built, service businesses. I have an e-commerce business that helps people that want to sell more on Amazon and they can't get more sales. And so we solve that problem. We optimize their listings. We do ads. We so on and so forth. So for me, entrepreneurs are people like you and me that we find a problem, we find an opportunity, and we create a system, a process, a service, a tool, a product, a software that helps create more value for the customer, and they're willing to pay for that.
That's cool. That's cool. So talking about solving a problem, what's your methodology? Like if you had, let's say, someone that is about to launch a business, they identify something that they think could work, or maybe that their own use case. What could be the questions that you would ask them in order to reflect on themselves and to have that their self-analysis?
Yeah, so I think the interesting thing, so a lot of us create a product, whatever that is, whether it be a service or whatever our offering is, based on our own frustrations, right? And that's great. Like we can solve a problem for us. But I think the biggest mistake people make is that it's not a problem that a lot of people have. And so they might solve a problem that they think they have, but there's not enough of an audience or a market that really wants to purchase that product. So what I would say is like, get really clear, like talk to people. Find out if what you're solving is really a product that people would pay for. I'll give you a good example. So I had this great idea for a business 10 years ago. And it was, I was traveling in London and I was moved by the fact that we knew more about the family of the royal family than I did about my own grandparents. And I was like, that's horrible. Like, I don't know my grandma and grandpa story, but I know about the king and queen of England and all of their families and relatives for generations. And so I wanted to create a business that would help us really connect with our families. And so I had this great idea. I put this whole plan together. I brought in a focus group of lots of people that had families, right? We all have families, right? And so I brought all these people in. Some of them were entrepreneurs. Some of them were corporate people. Some of them were just stay-at-home moms and dads and a whole mix. And I presented this to them and they were like, wow, this is amazing. And then I asked how much would they pay for this? And nobody wanted to pay for it. They thought it was an awesome idea. They thought it was really cool. They'd love it for free, but they wouldn't pay for it. And so I was brokenhearted, honestly, when this all went down, right? And I couldn't believe it, but I'm glad that I did that, right? So there is a problem, right? We don't have that connection. And it's not something that people were willing to take money out of their wallet and pay for it. So for all of us, we have that opportunity. Like we have great ideas. We have these things that come up. Like I wish I had learned more about my grandparents before they passed away. I wish I knew more about their stories and I could pass them on to my kids. I wish my kids knew more about me, that are things that I wouldn't even think to tell them. But the problem is people wouldn't pay for that at the time anyway, right? And so I think for all of us, we have to be really clear, like, is the problem we're solving something that someone would write a check for? Would they pay for it? And if they would, then we need to start looking into like, what do they really want? And then what do they really need? And they're different. Needs and want, or they might be different, right? They might not be the same. And so as we look into that, we got to say like, what is it that they want? Because that's what they'll buy. And then what is it that they need? We might have to include that with the want because otherwise it won't work, right? And so a lot of times we think about what they need and we try and sell them what they need, but they're not always wanting what they need, right? And so I think it's really getting clear on that with your target audience, or your target customer base. Are you clear on that? And do they want it and will they pay for it? I think that's just a common mistake we all make, myself included, and it takes some learning. And we get so excited about the opportunity sometimes that we lose sight of that. And we start to build something that maybe people are not ready for or they're not willing to pay for.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, they are, if I try to rephrase that, there are two steps. The first one is to make them understand that what they want is actually might not be what they need. So that's the first challenge. And once we know what they need, maybe they don't need enough or they are not willing to pay to get what they actually need. So that's a two-step thing.
Essentially, but just keep in mind, like people will always pay for what they want, right? Because they want it, right? But they may not pay for what they need. right?
Exactly.
So it's important that you understand that, because when it comes to marketing, right, we got to market our products and services. Like, I know, like, you know, you have a business where you help people automate all these things and make it so easy for them. They need that. They need it to be easier. They need it to be faster. But if they don't want that right now, they're not going to buy it. Right. And so for you as a marketer, you have to help them understand why they want it. You have to create that understanding for them. And so there's education that has to happen in the process. Right. And so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think you're right on the money.
Yeah. So nowadays, I see that the education that we have to do before the first sales gets longer and longer and longer. What are your thoughts on that point, on the funnel aspect? Because, like, few years ago, I dived into the ClickFunnels things, etc. Russell Brunson, because he has tons of great methodology. But I feel like now it's getting harder and harder to turn that sales and the amount of interactions that we need to have with the potential customers goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, so the mistake that I think a lot of us make is that we assume that all of our customers, their journey, like when they find us, they're at the same place in their journey, and they're not, right? So some customers are problem aware, some are solution aware, and some are brand aware, like aware of your solution, right? But they're not always in that place. And so, like, our marketing has to meet our customers on the journey where they are. So, for example, if I came in and I already knew that I had a problem where I needed, let's say I needed a tech person to be part of my business, but I didn't want to have a full service CTO, right? Like a full-time CTO. I wanted like a fractional CTO, right? I knew that I needed that right now. If I found your business that helps people do that, I immediately want to hear your message. I don't need to understand why that's a value to me. I already know it. Now I just want to understand how your system works, right? But if I'm struggling with tech and I don't even know anything about a fractional CTO, there's a whole different thing I need to understand first, right? I need to understand the benefits of that, why that makes sense for my business where I am today. So we have to understand the journey that our customers are on, right? And we are not all in the same place. And if we're talking to everybody the same way, we're talking to very few. And so we really have to look at how we deliver messaging. It needs to be the right message at the right time to the right person. And so there's, again, with technology today, there's lots of great ways to do that, especially in the online world, right? In the offline world, like if you had like someone with a retail store, you ask a few questions and then you tailor your message to the person based on those questions. No different in online. We have to get a little bit of information, whether we look at their behaviors of how they respond or we ask them some survey questions or whatever that is. We need to be personalizing the experience a bit based on who that customer is and where they are on their journey.
That's so true. And if I can echo with that, with my CTO friend, my business where we coach tech startups, founders, non-technical founders. It's been 6 or 7 years since I've published videos on and on and on about what to do or not to do, how to pay attention to, how to manage development, etc. And the fun story is that I am teaching people all about what they need and what they need to avoid, etc. But 80 to 90, if it's not 90% of our clients already went through these mistakes. So people who are first-time entrepreneurs, they see us, they learn, they consume our content, but they are not our client because they think they can do it by their own. But our real clients who pay us are people who went through these difficulties. And when they watch our YouTube channel, it's like a no-brainer. They say, that's all the mistakes that I did. Okay, I need to work with them, and boom, they come.
Yeah,
it's exactly.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, right? So for you, it's like for all those customers that are not ready for that yet, what can you offer them? Like, so this might be an opportunity for you to create another product or like a lower level membership or something that helps those people that are not ready for that full service so that they're building to get to that point where they are ready for it. And then it's a natural no-brainer to step into your next offering, right? And so for all of us, anybody listening, like in your business, we have different customers at different places in their journey. And so we have to meet them where they are. So ask yourself a question like, how do I know where they are? You got to get into their shoes. You got to look through their glasses and say, where am I? And then think about if they're there, what is it that they're thinking? What do they need from you that would create value? And when you put yourself in the position of that customer, you're going to find that you can more quickly relate. The sales cycle will reduce. The engagement will increase. The value exchange will be very positive at that point.
Yeah, definitely. So it's interesting. And when I now take the other project that we are on, Marketing Automation Ninja, I mean, we have new clients that are coming, but it goes too slow to my point of view. So if like us or our audience have a startup or a business that is getting started, that is working, that gets some clients once in a while, but they want to accelerate, what would be your number one recommendation in order to improve the customer experience from that first point to to accelerate basically the sales?
Yeah. So there's a lot of great answers to that question, right? There's no one silver bullet for this, but like, so I teach a formula that's called the kinetic customer formula. And at a high level, right, I believe this. I believe we make it hard for our customers to do business with us as companies. I believe that we make it more difficult for people to get results than it should be. And so if you think about it like a water slide, right? So imagine that you're going down a water slide, going into a pool, and there's not enough water on that water slide. So there's enough to kind of move you a little bit, but then you get stuck and you're frustrated. It's like, I just want to go down the slide. And then a little bit more water comes and you start to move again, and then you get stuck. And then you get stuck, and then you get stuck. That's how most of our businesses are. When there's enough water flowing down there, even if you have to go up over a hill, you start to move more fluidly. So I want you to think about the journey that your customers go on, kind of like that water slide. How do I remove all that friction? How do I have enough momentum, like that water flowing, that gets them to that result at the end? Because here's the thing. If they get to the end and they have positive experiences, they had a good time, they got success, they're going to tell other people. Because when good things happen to us, when we have success, we talk about it. Here's the other thing. When bad things happen and we have a bad experience, we talk about it. And so for most of us, we are at either end of the spectrum. If everything's just okay, nobody's telling other people. And so if you want to accelerate your growth, if you want more customers coming in, you need the existing customers that came in to tell other people. Word of mouth. That is the most effective way to start to scale your business. Because not only are they going to tell other people, but that's going to become your marketing. You're going to share their stories with other people. You're going to promote those case studies, those success stories, those wins. They're going to post it on social. They're going to leave reviews. You're going to tell other people about them. And that is what's going to get other people to start coming in faster. Right? So it is incumbent upon all of us, every one of our businesses, regardless if you're just starting out or if you've been doing this for a long time, we have to get bigger results for our customers. You have to obsess over your customers winning, right? And so that looks like giving them wins as often as you can, helping them identify that they had a win. Win doesn't mean that everything happened. Like, they don't have to go through the whole journey to get a win. They could, like, if you're selling a software, right, Amory, and you want them to use that software, logging in is their first win. Getting their first thing published where it did the work, that's a win. And getting some feedback and response, that's a win. Right? And so we have to celebrate those wins. The more they get the wins, the more they're going to engage. The more they engage, the more they're going to see the value. The more they see the value, the more excited they're going to be. Their business is going to grow. Your business is going to grow. And it's this kind of like cycle that starts, and it gets faster and faster, and the momentum builds. So for all of us, the key is obsessing over getting your clients results. That's the experience we want to create.
Oh, cool. So in that sense, any other tips in order to engage them even more? So showing them results of other customers, showing them what they can be capable of, and projecting where they could be with your software, with your solution, with your course, or whatever you have to offer. any other idea or things to push them? Because we have that. I mean, I am analyzing our funnel on a regular basis. We have people that comes from Facebook ad, then they process their first videos, they shoot it and they test the software. And then after what? So what? And they need to get used to do it several times and get used to it. And after come the...
How do you reward them for doing it more? What's their opportunity? Like for your example, right? I'm going to ask you a few questions, right? Let's use this as a great example. We're using Marketing Automation Ninja as an example, right? Right? So first question is, if they use it 10 times in a row, are they more likely to keep using it than if they only use it once? Okay. So how do you create a challenge and it's like they get a free month of software or they get a award or whatever when they hit a certain milestone in all of our businesses, right? We want them, like, what is the behavior that we want them to keep doing? We know that behavior is going to get them a positive result, right? So how do we incentivize more of that behavior, right? People do what you pay them to do, but people love doing what you reward and recognize them for doing. So you need to catch them in the act of using your software and celebrate that. If you see someone create 10 videos, you should be high-fiving the hell out of them on social media. You should be promoting their videos. Your team should be out there liking every post that they put out there, celebrating them, because that's what they need to see, right? We want to catch people in the act of having success, and we want to celebrate that. People love doing what you reward and recognize them for doing, right? Now, let me ask you a different question. How many people start with a free trial and never post a video? I'm going to say a lot.
I would say 70% if it's not 80%.
Right. So a lot. I was right. A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Right. So your biggest opportunity is not getting more customers. Your biggest opportunity is getting people that start a trial to have success, right? You don't have a funnel problem. You have an engagement problem. You have a fulfillment problem, right? That's my belief, because if 20% more people took action, they would fall in love with the software and it would help their business.
Yes.
But they're not. So the onboarding, right? We have to get them in your business. We have to get them to actually use the tool. That's the answer. Right? And that's true for all of our businesses. I'm not picking on you. This is true for all of us, right? So for all of us, that first thing, when someone buys your product or service, or they start your free trial, it's an intention. It's an intention that they say, I'd like to use this. I'd like to do this course. I'd like to use this tool. It is not a commitment. What we need is a commitment. So when they say, yes, I'm going to try this free trial, we need to help them commit. So they got it because they want a result. We have to help them get that result. And if we help them get the result quickly, see, the most important thing is the time to first value. The shorter the amount of time that they have a first win and that they perceive value, the more likely they will have a second win and a third. The more likely they will turn into a paying customer or stay a paying customer and not ask for a refund. So for all of you out there, like, look at how long it takes for someone to feel as if they got value. That's time to first value, their perception of a win. And it's your job, in my opinion, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, as a startup, as a CTO, whatever your job is, whatever your role is, it's your job to get them a win as quickly as you can once they enter your world. And so on your free content side, that means that you're giving them value from your free content and they get a win. Because when they get a win there, they're going to want to go deeper with you, because they're like, if this guy can help me like this for free, what else has he got? Right?
Yeah.
And so for all of us, that's the answer. And so for your business, you got lots of people starting your software. Only 10 to 20%, maybe 30% on a good day are actually moving forward. What if 10 more percent, 20 more percent, or, gosh, what if 100% actually got value? You wouldn't be worrying about that. Now a different problem is going to arise, right? Now you find the next problem. How do I get them to stay, a customer forever? Or what's the next thing they want, right? And so as you're thinking about that journey, it's like, I've got to bring them in And just because they said yes to a trial or they said yes and they paid me money doesn't mean that they're going to do it. And it doesn't mean that they're going to love it. And our job is to get them from a stranger to a customer to a friend, right? And we want them to love us. We want them to love the experience we're creating. And so a lot of us ask the wrong questions too. It's like, why did people not start using our software? That's a question that you could ask, right? And that's what naturally comes up. It's like, so they start a trial, but they're not using it. Why aren't they using it, right? A better question to ask, in my opinion, is the people that are using it. Why did you actually use it? When you started using it, what was the benefit? What really changed for you? What got you to do the second video and the third and the fourth? Because that's what we need. We need the other people to have that experience. Learning why they didn't stay, and there's a lot of reasons. I'm not saying there's not value there, but learning why the people that did take the action took the action and stayed with it, that's a better question. I hear this all the time from people about recruiting and retention of employees. They say, why do people keep leaving? I'm like, well, you have a lot of people that have been there for 10 years, 15 years. Why do those people stay? It's a different question. And when we ask better questions and we ask different questions in our business, we get better and different answers. And so for all of us, as we think about the journey for our customers, I want you to ask, how am I making it hard for my customers? Right? I want you to understand where those are, looking at it from their perspective. And then I want you to ask a more important question. How can I make it easier for my customers to win? How can I make it easier for my customers to win? When you start asking that question, you're going to start finding better answers and you're going to start seeing the ripple effects and the benefits in your business. I don't care if you have an online business, an offline business, a product, a service, a widget, it doesn't matter. It's the same because people are dealing with people, right? And that's the question we need to be asking.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Thanks again for all those questions, and I'm gonna for sure listen carefully our podcast together to analyze it and on our own business. So, if in a nutshell, I think we could summarize it in that way. Gamification is now a must for almost any business, especially as a tech startup. I do understand, thanks to you, that we need to reward them. We need to push them forward because, like, humans are lazy, and even more for us. We have a very interesting business because our software on Marketing Automation Ninja helps people to automate things and publish videos and podcasts, etc., etc. So we make it so much easier for them to get started with podcasts and YouTube videos and social media videos. And people, they come, they love what we do, and they buy our software and they pay in month in and month out just because it's easier. But it doesn't mean that they're going to put the work. I mean, I got, for instance, a client that was paying for 6 months our subscription. And he loved what we've done, and he tested it, and he said, okay, yeah, I absolutely need it. So he paid the first month. He processed nothing. So I reached out on the second month. I said, hey, how are you doing? Things are fine, etc. I said, yeah, no worries. I'm going to publish some videos. Okay, another month came. And I say, hello, how are you doing? You are paying for a software. I mean, we are not here just to charge. We want you to use it. And say, yo, no worries. It's like, it's like the gym club and the fitness club. I need to pay in order to remember me that I need to publish videos and content. And I said, okay, cool. I love it. Fine. And it kept going like that for 6 months until he gave up. So, I mean, it's not even on us. It's the fact that people have a dream. They want to do something. Sometimes it's easier to pay, but to put the energy to reach out, our goal is something else.
So can I love this. This is a great example. Thank you for sharing that. Can I unpack this for a second? This is so much fun.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So this is the want need thing, right? So what did he want? He wanted to publish a podcast. So he bought a piece of software that would allow that to happen. And he had an intention to do it, but he wasn't committed to doing it. And he felt better. He scratched the itch that was bothering him, right? He scratched that itch and he's like, oh, okay, I bought the software. Now I'm good, right? What did he need? He needed to know how to do a podcast easily. He didn't know that. He didn't know how to create content. He didn't know how to produce a podcast show. So, Amory, you're an amazing podcaster. You've built lots of podcasts. I know at least 2 of them that I know of, right? And you've helped other people with their podcasts. I know you've been a guest on podcasts. You've been a host. You get it. You know how to produce content. You know how to publish it. You know everything about it. You, in very little time, could offer a course on how to build a world-class podcast very easy, very simply, that your software would then automate the hardest parts of it. You could be giving them that $2,000 value course for free when they subscribe to your podcast. And guess what? I guarantee you that the majority of the people that aren't moving forward need to know how to build a podcast. They don't know how to do it. They want the benefits of having a podcast. They want that. They want it so badly that they're willing to pay a bunch of money or sign up for a software tool, watch your videos, watch your webinar, spend the time. But what they need is the knowledge of how to actually do it. And they don't know. So this is exactly what we were talking about before. And you could turn that 70% by giving them a course for free that you could sell also, but you could give it to them for free when they sign up for a 1-year subscription to Marketing Automation Ninja. And all of a sudden, they would probably have massive results. Because the problem is not the software. The problem is that they're afraid to get on camera. They don't know how to find guests. They don't know what to talk about. They don't know the tech setup. They're worried about this. They're worried about that. But what they see is, oh, this automated software makes all of it easy. But when they get down to it, they don't know how to start. And so there's an opportunity to take all of those people and help them have success. Like you could have an online virtual event. And it's a 3-day event that teaches them how to build their podcast. And then the offer at the end is for only X dollars, they get all of this and boom, they have the software for a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so all of us have to think about this, right? Like in our business, when someone signs up, it's an intention. They wanted something. They heard something that said, I want this. But then we have to look at what do they really need? And what is the relationship between that want and that need? Right? And ultimately, we need to give them both if we want it to be successful. And so for that guy, the answer was, you could even said to him, look, for the next 100 people that sign up over the course of the next year, I'm going to be a guest on your podcast. And I'm going to bring 5 other guests. Or I'm going to give you a directory of people that want to be guests on podcasts and help you build that out. Because the goal is the processing, the automation. But if they don't have a podcast, they don't need your software. How many of us have that same problem in our business? The thing that our business provides requires that there's something else be in place for our business to make sense. And they don't get that other thing, but they buy ours first, right? And so we need to fix that. It's our job. It doesn't seem like it should be our job, but it is our job, right? Because we want to help our clients get success. And that's what I'm talking about in a nutshell. That was a great example. I hope that was helpful. The example that I just gave in the conversation. Yeah. And again, this is what we do.
That's cool. That's cool. Talk about a bit more about, CX formula, how you do it and how you have, maybe some of our audience would be interested in what you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, so our company is CX Formula. And we have a program called the Kinetic Customer Formula, like I mentioned. And what we believe is this, like when you have a prospect, if you go back to like physics, right? There's 2 types of energy. There's potential energy, which is energy that could do something. It's not in motion yet. And there's kinetic energy. That's energy in motion, right? And so we have all these prospects that are not taking action. And our program, our software, our tools, our services, they will actually help them go into motion and get the results. So we want kinetic customers. We want engaged, active customers, but they're not. And so what we teach you to do is we show you how to get those prospects with potential and turn them into engaged, kinetic customers. And there's a lot of different steps along the journey, but it boils down to 4 key pieces. What we call attitudes, behaviors, friction, and momentum, right? And so people have attitudes, they have beliefs that what they're thinking and expecting about a product, a service, a want, a need, whatever. They have a belief that is either they want what you have or they don't. And that belief is going to allow them to take action, the behaviors, or not, right? And so in your case, they had this desire that they want to have a podcast because it's going to allow them to get content out there, attract great customers, build amazing relationships, help create value in the world. They want that, but they don't know how. So that attitude stops them from taking the action, the behavior. So we help you understand the attitudes and the behaviors, and we help to match those up so that we create the right attitudes by expectation setting and all sorts of techniques that we have to help people kind of change their attitude the right way and take the right behavior, right? So those are the first two steps. Then we have friction. Friction is this force in the world that can either be working for you or against you. And so we have to identify all the friction points, all the parts that are hard, where that water slide gets stuck because there's not enough water flowing. There's too much gravity. There's too much force against us. We have to see, can we remove that or can we reduce that a bit? And if we can't, or even if we can, how do we then add momentum? How do we add more water? How do we grease it a little bit so it's slipperier, so we move more effortlessly, more fluidly towards that goal? And so we go through a whole journey together with our clients and teach them how to do this in their journey, all while understanding it through the eyes of our customers, which is hugely important. And at the end, we end up with like what we call the ideal result, where customers rave about their experience with you, where they return to buy more products and services, where they renew their subscriptions and their memberships, and ultimately they recruit other people to your business. And so that's what we do. We teach it in a few different ways. You can do an immersive workshop with us where you come in and we spend 3 days together and you learn all this and you go through it as an experience. So you have this kind of like meta experience, like where you're experiencing all the things we teach firsthand. And then we kind of say, okay, how was that? And people are like, wow, that was awesome. And then we unpack it. We show you kind of behind the scenes what we did. And then we also have like an online course that is actually coming out in the first couple of weeks of April of 2024 that is going to be available so that you can actually go through it kind of wherever you are in the world on your own. And you have coaching. So you can actually plug into our coaches and learn how to solve this. And then for a very select group, we actually will come to you. So we'll bring our coaches out. We'll secretly shop your experience. We'll meet with your entire team and we'll help you do that. So whichever way you want, we have a program that was right sized for you to help you kind of create this engagement. The most important thing is to understand this. If you take nothing else away, we spend so much time getting customers to come to the front door, and maybe they walk through the front door, but they never walk past that front hallway. They get stuck there. What I want you to do is start thinking about, how do I get them into the family room? How do I get them into the kitchen? How do I get them to walk through that front door and actually hang out and be part of it and engage in that conversation? That is the key to getting more people to come to your front door, right? If you want people coming in that front door, we need to guarantee success once they come inside. Once they're inside and they have that success, they will get more and more people coming to that front door every single day. So when you spend $1 on ads on Facebook, Google, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever you're spending money on, every one of those dollars will be worth more because we know that they're going to actually start. And when they start, they're going to stay longer. And so that's the key. And we help you do that. And that's why we built the program. That's why we're doing this. As you know, Amory, I sold the business. I made a bunch of money. This is my impact business, right? I'm doing this because I want to help entrepreneurs. I love entrepreneurs. I love startup founders. I love people like you and me that want to have this success. And so that's my jam. Like my partner, Drew, and I, we love what we do. And with a choice of like who we work with and how we spend time with people, this is what we love doing and this is why we do it.
That's cool. So I have a very last question, but before to ask where people can go if they are interested in your course and maybe all the things that you have to offer, can you share the URL with them?
Yeah, for sure. So if you want to check us out, you can go to cxformula.com and you can learn more about us, podcast episodes, blogs, like all sorts of great stuff is there. But I actually have a gift for your audience, if that's cool, Amory. Can I over deliver just a moment here? So
yeah, go ahead.
I have a PDF that you can't download from our website. You won't find it. You have to be listening to this podcast to hear about it. And I'm not going to tell them what it is. So you have to take a leap of faith. If I gave you some value here, you know that there's going to be some value on the other side. So go check it out. And if you go to gift.cxformula.com/Amory, and I'm sure you'll put a link underneath this for people to grab, go there. It will take you less than 10 minutes to download this and read it. And it will give you both a really awesome strategy, like a strategy that I know wins every time, and a way to execute on it. It's a way of thinking differently. Remember I said you have to ask different questions to get different and better answers. This is going to change the way you think about your business. So I asked two things. One, when you go and download it, actually look at it. Don't make it be one of those like shelfware things where you download it, it sits on a hard drive and you never open it. I don't want that. Actually go through it. It won't take you that long. And two, my email address is in there. My actual, like to me, not to some crazy virtual AI thing, like goes to me. Tell me what you think. Like, what are you going to do with it? Or like, if you thought it was bogus, tell me it was bogus. Like, just, I want to know what your opinion is. So go grab it, gift.cxformula.com/Amory, download it, take a look at it, tell me what you think. And I promise you, if you go through it and you use it, it's going to help you. I know it is. It has helped 100% of the people that I've shared it with, and I have tons of testimonials and case studies from people saying this one strategy was probably one of the best things I learned from you. And that's why I'm giving it to you, because hopefully, if you look at it and you think it's awesome, maybe you want to talk to us about some other stuff. So that's my secret. I'm sharing it with you. Check it out.
Cool. Thank you very much. And I will take it as well because I haven't so far. But yes, thank you very much. Very last question from entrepreneur to entrepreneur. You know, I feel like we grow as entrepreneurs as much as the challenges that we go through. So, and that's what makes, I mean, I am now able to go through challenges that are way, way bigger than what I was able 5 or 10 years ago. And it would like kill me 10 years ago. So what was the biggest challenge that you went through during your entrepreneurial life? You don't mind sharing it?
No, it's a great question. Honestly, there's a couple that are kind of fighting for first place. I can't, it depends on the day which one I think is the biggest one, right? But I'll share one that I think is important for all of us, right? And so this is the idea of our identity. So for me, when I sold my big company, I sold it because I needed to, not because I wanted to. I wanted to bring in some investors because we were growing so quickly. I couldn't actually cash. We were profitable, but I was sucking up so much of the cash flow in the growth that we were going to grow into bankruptcy. And so I went out to try and get some investors to help with the cash flow. And it's a good problem, right? But everyone wanted to buy 100% of our business. They didn't want to just invest, which was awesome, but it was my baby. And I was the company. The company was me. And so when I sold that business, I was in a very bad depression for a long time after that because I lost a piece of me. And so I know there's a lot of founders and early stage entrepreneurs in this. And so I would say to you this, like be clear on the difference. Like as an entrepreneur, our business, our personal lives, they all intermingle, right? There's no hard line usually between those. And that's fine. That's great. It's me too, right? But my identity now is one of a learner, of an entrepreneur, of a leader, not as the CEO or the founder of this business. And I think it's important to disassociate ourselves a little bit from that identity being defined by the business, because I know for a fact that my friends that sold companies where that wasn't the case went on and built the next business right away and the next business right away and so on and so forth, and didn't have that depression and that purgatory moment where they felt like they were stuck and they didn't want to move and they couldn't and they just were lost. And so I think for all of us, like, I'm a learner now. My identity is I'm a coach, I'm a leader, I'm a learner, I'm an entrepreneur, but my business is not exactly me. And I am not exactly in my business. And that has been a very healthy growth thing for me that took me a long time. And so for all of you, hopefully that's helpful and helps you kind of like think about really how to identify who you are and your value in the world a little bit separate from an actual business. Even though your business is a major part of you, it's something you birthed, it's amazing. Yes, yay, I've done it a lot of times since then, but I've been able to keep those lines clear for me, and it's been massively better.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I love it. And yeah, I love it. A few years ago, many years ago, I dived into the personal branding thing. And I think we can be our personal brand, and our past ventures are kind of our CV or resume. That's how I see things. You
Yeah.
can say, I did that. But here is my personal brand. Here is who I am. And I evolved, and my personal brand website was looking in a specific way like 5 or 10 years ago, and now is changing and evolving. And it's you. It reflects who you are. Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
I think
Jason.
it's awesome. Yeah. Good for you, man.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You were about to say something else?
No,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's the difference between being a human being and a human doing. Right? And like someone said that to me, that's not my phrase, but it's like human doings, like our business, it's like we're doing. But when we become more of a human being and we expand our horizons a bit more, and it's a little different. I know a lot of us entrepreneurs, it's the worst job we've ever had in our lives, right? We wake up or in our business, we go to sleep, we're in it all day, and we don't have time for other things. And I love that. It's admirable, but it's also toxic at some point. So find the balance, I guess, is the message. Find the balance.
Cool. That's a good word to finish this podcast. Thank you very much for your time again today. It was a real pleasure to go through a little bit of coaching for our own businesses as well. And I hope it was helpful for our audience. And I cannot wait to catch up again very soon with you. And again, if you are interested, you have the link in the notes. So wishing you an amazing day to everyone, and to you, Jason. And let's catch up very soon. Thank you again.
Thanks, man. Have a great day.